Welcome back to the 28th video about the full fly-by-wire electric outboard project. In the previous video we just did some housekeeping, exchanging some resistors in the temperature measurement circuit and replacing the piezo buzzer. Card here, link in the description. However, in the video before that, we finished the first version of determining the motor's RPM by measuring the sinusoidal fluctuations in the motor current. Also card here, link in the description. Now, the associated circuitry and software worked just fine, seemingly at least. There was still the open question if we are really displaying the accurate RPMs the motor is doing. And that we will verify in this video. Enjoy! For that purpose, we will take some slow-mo video of our prop at different power settings. Slow-mo meaning here 120 frames per second. The motor itself is rated, at least according to the manufacturer, at 1350 RPMs max. And that gives us about-ish 5 frames per rotation. So we should be easily able, especially with that little marking here, to determine the true RPMs of the prop and what we are actually measuring. Okay, let's capture some slow-mo video of the prop, and I will display that here in real time, so down to 30 frames per second like the rest of the video, so accelerated by a factor of 4. And of course we start with 10% power. Okay, that should be enough, and then 50% power. Yep, and 100% power. Okie dokie, that should be enough. And now we analyze the video. Now for the less fun part, counting frames. 10% power. Stop, and oh, perfect. We are exactly at the top. Now I will advance frame by frame. "15 frames for the first rotation, but we're not quite at top here, so let's repeat that. You see we're lagging behind, so another 15 frames. What happens if I do 16, or let's say third rotation 15 frames, and no, not quite. This is 1. Okay, and that last rotation now was 16 frames, and we're pretty much at the top again. Okay, 50%. Okay, we are at 50% power now, and I've chosen here a frame. Yeah, it gets a little bit blurry. We're pretty much centered up at the top. And now let's go frame by frame. That was 6 frames. Yeah, let's say 6 frames. And the next rotation. Okay, let's say 6 frames. I'm waiting until I'm centered again. Six frames. 6 frames. Oh, we're getting there. 6 frames. And that's pretty much centered again. 5 frames. Okay. I'll think at the highest RPM we will get a problem, but we'll see. Okay, 100% power. Again, I've chosen here a start frame where we're pretty much centered up. Next time I'll do that more white on the blade and maybe a black background. Just a reminder for myself. So, first rotation. 1, 2, 3. That's not too much, but we're a little bit short. 1, 2, 3. Even shorter. 1, 2, 3. 4. Okay, this is kind of a guesstimation, but yeah, that thing is definitely rotating faster than I expected, or which was specified, because we would need at 1350 RPMs at least 5 point something frames to go around. But anyway, let me do the math. And here are the results for the power settings of 10, 50 and 100%. I first went over the footage and looked up what RPMs have been displayed, and of course there is a tolerance. That's not working perfectly. Then I calculated the frames per revolution from our slow motion video, and at 120 frames per second, that's 0.0038333 and so on seconds per frame, we get seconds per revolution, and of course then revolutions per second. Times 60, that's the RPM we measured with our slow-mo camera. And if we divide the displayed RPM by the RPM we measured with our slow-motion video, we get these factors here. Please note, since we have here a tolerance, these factors also have some tolerance. If we have a look at the ranges of the RPM divided by the display value, we see that they kinda almost overlap at 1.63, respectively 1.64. Please also note that the measured RPM of 2160 at the 100% power setting is much greater than the advertised 1350 RPM from the manufacturer. The only explanation I have for that is that we are running the prop currently in air instead of water. Now, before we jump into the code and make some nilly-vanilly corrections based on our measurements, we should try to find out what we should expect. We know that we are supplying some DC to a brushless 3-phase motor. Such a motor consists of a stator, which, as the name suggests, is static, which contains at least 3 coils, and a rotor, which rotates, of course, and that's in the simplest case a permanent magnet with 2 poles, north and south. Let's put away the rotor for a second and concentrate on the stator. The three coils are connected at the center, and that's incidentally also called the center point. They are offset 120 degrees from each other, and the other ends of the coils are connected to a driver. Usually the driver has for every coil a totem pole arrangement of 2 transistors. So each end of a coil can be either connected to DC plus or to ground. Let's say if we have a positive current going through a coil, we will have at the inner end of the coil a magnetic south pole. And if we have a negative current going through the coil, we will have here at the inner end a north pole. Now, if we have a positive current going in here, it has to go out somewhere, and that is through the other coils, which will be connected to our DC ground. Putting the rotor back in with the north pole facing up, and let's assume we still have here positive current flowing in here. So we have here south pole, they both attract very well. And then we have a negative current here, of course, in both coils, only half what's flowing in here. Yeah, the sum of the currents must be 0 because, yeah, center point, everything is connected. So we have 2 smaller north poles here trapping the south pole. Now let's assume we want to rotate our rotor now 60 degrees clockwise. That coil here is currently only a weak north pole, yeah, connected to ground, negative current. But if we now switch that coil over here to DC plus, we have now here a weak south pole, another weak south pole repelling here, and here a very strong north pole. So the rotor rotates 60 degrees. And then if we want to rotate another 60 degrees here, we do the same game. We need a strong south pole here now to attract the north pole of our rotor. So we connect that coil here to DC plus and the other 2 coils to DC ground. And our rotor moves another 60 degrees. And we can repeat that game a total of 6 times until we completed 1 full rotation. Now, I want you to note that we switched 6 times our coils for a full rotation. Now, the switching scheme I just explained was extremely simplified. Usually, PWM signals are controlling those transistors with the goal to create a really nice sinusoidal 3-phase AC current going through your 3 coils. And if you sum up just the positive currents, you get the DC current flowing into the motor. And as you can see, for full 360 degree rotation, we have 6 peaks here and 6 valleys, so 6 wobbles. As you might remember, our RPM measurement is based on measuring the frequency of those wobbles here. Now there's one piece missing from the puzzle. Here I have a photo of the stator of our Propeller 2.0 24-volt electric trolling motor. And as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 coils, not 3. These additional coils are connected exactly like the 3 coils we started with, according to the following scheme. So we start with black phase 1, then blue phase 2, then red phase 3, and then it continues 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Meaning now our rotor does only 15-degree steps because the coils are now 30 degrees apart. In consequence, we no longer need a full 360 degrees of 3-phase AC to make a full rotation, but instead we need 4 times 360 degrees of 3-phase AC applied here for a full rotation. And remember, 6 wobbles per 360 degrees, so 6 wobbles times 4 makes 24 wobbles for one full rotation. Now that we have some measurements and a theory what these measurements should be, let's adjust the code. We are in the speed.h file. In our begin method, we've configured our analog comparator to generate an interrupt at both rising and falling edges. So each wobble, that is sinusoidal oscillation, is counted twice. We expect 24 wobbles per rotation times 2 means we expect an interrupt count of 48 per rotation. Our private constant to convert counts per microseconds to 10th of RPMs previously contained a factor of 80 counts per rotation. That was based on the 1350 RPMs max from the manufacturer. Now our theory says we only have 48 counts per rotation for a 3-phase motor with 12 coils and counting rising and falling edges in the signal. Now, with our measurements, we determined an error factor of about 1.64. If we divide 80 by 1.64, we get 48.8. So our theoretical value and our measured value are really matching up nicely. Now let's test that. Okay, 10% motor power we previously measured with a slow motion camera of 472 RPM. And we get something between, well, 480 and 580 RPM. Yeah, we need to improve the measurement accuracy at the low RPM, I know. At 50, we measured with slow-mo 1230 RPM. Oh, I have to reactivate the scrolling. And we are here now measuring, 1260, 1270, 1280 RPM. So, yeah, that matches too. And at 100%, auto scroll on. The slow-mo measurement was 2160 RPMs and we're measuring something between, well, 2160 RPMs and, 2190 RPMs. Perfect. That's it for today. I should have done that theoretical stuff right at the start. However, I only came about a picture of the stator in this motor recently. So, better late than never. Till next time, bye.